Hey guys, I'm back with another Bruce Box update, so let's get started. I was going to talk about Twilight versus Paldea and how I think Twilight is a stronger market than Paldea, but then I ended up talking for like 7 minutes about it, so I'm just gonna make that into its own video, airing a little later. Um, it's fine to view it later, like it's not really that pertinent to like today's exact numbers. But it's just something I've been noticing. Other than that, I'll go over some of the normal updates. I have been noticing a little more possible activity in Scarlet Violet. Like, I'll put like a I'll put like a different number if like there's even about $1 difference. But like literally today, like the last 2 days, like every box. Surging sparks are always right, so that doesn't really count. But yeah, there's been a little more activity in Scarlet Violet. Um, Even Sword Shield has some little blips in demand, which I think might indicate future changes. Scarlet Violet base, it's decreased back to 190, but that's only because there's 6 boxes available here. After that, it goes to 197, and 200 soon after that. I'm not really that worried. I think those boxes will get sold pretty quickly. I get more worried if I see like people consistently listing more and more the lower price ranges. But yeah, the demand hasn't really changed very much. It's gone back to its kind of like normal low of like 9 to 12 boxes. Um, and so yeah, I think people will buy up those boxes and it'll just go back up to like 200. There's not like there's a reprint coming or there's like excessive like demand like supply of it. I feel like a lot of people didn't really want. A lot of people like skipped over it for other stuff. Paldea I think went down like just about $1 or two. Paldea's demand is still pretty strong. I think it's still one of the most bought booster boxes, at like about 20 something a day, compared to everything else. And so like the main resisting point is that a lot of people are kind of selling at these points, like these price points, and so it makes it harder for it to rise, even though like there's enough demand. But the demand itself, no, it kind of helps. A lot of these sellers, I think I'm seeing them. They're being the low price sellers, like CGG Castle, see all the time, and this Hollow SQ I saw for SV base. So maybe it's another like low price seller trying to like offload things. Obsidian Flames, I was like thinking like, does anyone hate Obsidian Flames now? Like it was doing so well, and now like people are just like, Euro's like this is as far as you should go. It's sort of like it reminds me of a kid who like had like an early growth spurt, but then ultimately is like shorter than like most of the other people. Once they hit like adult age. But yeah, it's been hovering in this like this graph kind of shows it like very well. Like I think I showed this yesterday. It goes up, goes back down, goes back, go up, and then go back down. Like it's still like impressive. It still goes up, but it's I don't know. It's selling okay. Like it has like consistent buying. It's selling like 13 to 20 boxes a day. A lot of times it's more like 10 to 13, but sometimes it gets to like 20. So at that like demand rate, it should be kind of fine, but it's just not rising. So there's just like too many people with boxes like putting it up for sale. Like it always looks like it has some potential to rise, and it just like doesn't. So I guess people are just putting enough. There's just enough out there. And I see the Hollow SQ again, so it seems like it's another low price seller. Um, Paradox also went down about $1. Um, Paradox is not a lot announcing a reprint, and even Obsidian. I heard in a Danny Phantom video the other day that like the news about Obsidian Flames reprint, it wasn't a lie necessarily from like YouTubers, but it was sort of an error of Pokemon Company. Like, Pokemon was like, oh shoot, our inventory numbers say that um, we don't have enough Obsidian to give everyone like at least a case, so like we're not gonna actually send out reprints. So it seems like they have some available, they just don't have enough to actually give to people. So I think that was just an error on Pokemon's fault. So that might also be affecting Obsidian prices. If people aren't actually getting Obsidian reprints, then the price should actually go back up. Um, yeah, Paradox demand is also like decent. I guess like Obsidian is still kind of low compared to other booster boxes. Like even Paradox sometimes gets more sales at like it's like to 15 to 20, but usually more like 15. I think there's a lot of people with Paradox, and so you're just kind of waiting for supply to flush out. Like again, these are the lower price sellers. So I'm always curious how many boxes like heavy tech and hollow SQ whatever they have because they just keep putting box stuff for sale. They probably have like just a ton of boxes. Um, but yeah, there's enough resistance at the price point to just keep it around the 180s or like high 170s. Um, Twilight, yeah, I'll make a separate video on this later, but it seems like Twilight doesn't have the like. I think it sells like around the same as Obsidian or even less sometimes. Um, but there's just like enough, like there's not enough supply. It feels like compared to Paldea that like it kind of maintains its price point or just goes up more quickly, or recovers more quickly. Stellar Crown, it's kind of went up like $1. The demand has does seem like it's slowing down a little bit. It was like sometimes it got to like 13, 15, or 19, and now it's kind of going down to like less than $10 a day. I think people are a little hesitant to buy at this price point. Um, but I don't know, it's like the others that like besides Obsidian that like people kind of like to open. But I think there's a little more value with Stellar because I think people want the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur a little more, and they're a little easier to pull versus the Charizards are like I don't know, like they're never worth that much. Um, but that's kind of my take on that. And then Surging Sparks, I think went back up to about 265, which is good for it because it was kind of trending back down toward the 260s. Now it's kind of recovering back to like the mid 265s, which makes sense because it's still like the most popular booster box. All right, so I'm gonna go quickly to Sword and Shields. Um, Sword and Shield base, Rebel Flash have like no change. Darkness Ablaze. Um, the main note about that is that it's kind of still at the same price point, but it's kind of selling more consistently. I see like 5 boxes, of no, it's 6 days of straight sales. Usually there's more of a break in between. Um, yeah, I mean, if you look at the overall data, it doesn't really tell you much sometimes because a lot of graphs look like this, where like buying kind of picked up in like late at the end of the year. But at least it's still definitely higher than what it was selling for before in terms of like demand. Vivid Voltage and Battle Styles, they're possibly going to reach their next price points soon. I keep telling you like don't hold your breath on them, but I don't know. Like there's two things I'm seeing. So like Vivid Voltage has like 3 boxes at 190 and it goes to 195 again. I think it's been around there before, but I'm not. I might double check later. Battle Styles, honestly, it seems like it might be the stronger set. I mentioned this in some of my YouTube videos when I went for Pokemon Center stock, but like there just seems to be a little more demand for it, and it has the alt arts, which makes it kind of like more valuable to open in my opinion. So even though Battle Styles has been sort of like the joke of a lot of people, I don't know, it just has nicer cards. Just not the Pokemon just aren't necessarily as popular. But yeah, there's only 2 people at the 190 price, and then goes to 195. So it's possibly gonna reach the next price point. I'm like excited when they finally reach 200. Um, Chilling Rain, there was sort of a little spike in sales yesterday at 9. That's quite high for it. I think a lot of lower price boxes got sold. I don't know the exact selling points. People are buying above the 309 mark. I do know that I'm guessing this 309 over here has been here for a while and no one's just been buying it. And then, but after that, like it's pretty much 314 or 315 and then 322 and then 325. So like Chilling Rain, like it's unofficially hasn't really been like this 3010 like this 310 price. It's been technically a little higher. Um, but yeah, that the little spike in demand is kind of good for it. Um, Fusion Strike. Fusion Strike, the demand's been like a little slow lately. Um, it's still selling like 1 or 2 boxes a day for the most part, but yeah, I see you can't really break out of like technically hasn't broken out of this 387, 388, like 487, 48 mark. Um, but when I look at the actual sales, I do see people like buying a little higher, like 497, 490 over here, 490. So I think people are kind of skipping maybe like this one over here, and they're starting to go over. It's like the 490, 495. Um, yeah, I think a lot of people were just waiting for it to officially reach like 500. I don't think it's actually reached 500 before. This graph tells you like nothing. Yeah, the graph is. Oh yeah, it's been like 490. Astral Radiance, I kind of feel like why does everyone hate Astral Radiance? Like it was doing it like if people were just buying it, it would go to like 265 or 270 relatively quickly. It's just you get like attention, and then like there's like 3 days out sales, and you get like 2 or 3 days out sales. Brilliant Stars is doing better, but it's there's too many boxes at the $300 mark. Silver Tempest seems to be possibly doing better. More consistent sales, and like sales aren't really that bad. Like that's 9, then 6, then 3, then 4. Like yeah, I told you guys before. Like I like Silver Tempest in the sense of like as like one of the mid tier sets. Like I think Brilliant Stars is like prettier, but there's something about the Lugia alt art that like it makes it a really big chase, and then Astral Radiance doesn't really have a chase. Um, but yeah, it does. It Silver Tempest is one of the boxes that did go up. It went back up to 258, and so I'm seeing a little more optimism for it. Lost Origin's not really changing. It's kind of stuck at that price point. All right, that's it for today's video. Thanks, guys. Bye.